Man, I'll tell you what though, this stuff that Sony's pulling with the that announcement. I don't know if y'all are paying attention, like Twitter or whatever. They made an announcement. 2028, they're going digital only. It's not sitting well. They're getting just like super ratioed, dude. I think Asmon makes a good point. If you are following, I think Asmon makes a good point, honestly. Perhaps suffers from delivery, perhaps, but his argument is solid. Realistically, the higher tier boss, if you want to put it in gaming terms like he does, which cracks me up. If you want to think of it that way, the higher tier boss here, the bigger problem is lack of consumer protections, not necessarily going from physical to digital only, although that is a problem, and it is possible to be of both minds with this. It's not mutually exclusive. You know, you can be pro-physical, like I am, and also appreciate the fact that really the core issue is lack of consumer protections. You can recognize both of those, and so I think that a lot of the drama surrounding that is performative, honestly. I think that it's self-evident what his point is, whether or not he delivers it properly or eloquently or perfectly or whatever, you know what he's trying to say. And I think that it's easy on social media in particular to latch onto slight little minutiae of imperfections in somebody's statements, whether or not it undermines their entire argument or whatever, and to attack that, not the argument, and that's not good. I think that it the pushback he's getting is largely performative or semantic in nature, or just outright sophistry. Honestly, if you ask me, I think it's intellectually dishonest, whether intentionally so or not. I think he makes a good point. It's coming from somebody who is very anti-digital only. Always have been. I was mad when PC started doing digital only. I was mad when Nintendo went to game key cards for Switch 2. That's the reason why I'm not buying the console in the first place. I was mad when my favorite game started only getting physical for PlayStation or Switch. Switch 1. I don't like that. I like my games to be physical. I really do. I also think that the statistics that they're using are completely deceptive, because it includes digital only things. DLC, games that don't have physical releases in the first place. Things like that, and that very much skews it. I do obviously believe that those that want digital or prefer to buy digital or whatever are the majority, but to say that those that want physical are insignificant from a revenue perspective, I think that that's just not true, and it's demonstrably so. When you're talking a company like Sony that makes as much as they do, even 10% of sales, which I think it's a bit more, especially for specific game types, ones that aren't AAA studios, ones that are like JRPGs, things like that. That type of genre tends to sell more physical than like a Call of Duty would, or a FIFA, or a Madden, you know what I mean? I think that it's probably closer to 15, maybe 20% of sales for Sony, for PlayStation, are physical. Now that's conjecture, that's me hypothesizing. For each, you would have to basically do it individually for each game, excluding all digital onlys and DLC and things, and that would just be an absurd undertaking. It's not about money, is my point. They aren't doing it because it's going to save them a buck. It's not about money, it's about control. they want control. Sony does capitulate when presented with a significant enough level of pushback. They do backtrack. I think that they will. But even if they do, I think that the trust is broken. They're going to see this reflected in their bottom line. Whether they want to or not, this decision of theirs, if they do not backtrack, there will be some pain felt by them. Right? I think that there will always be a physical, or rather a market for physical media. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, shit, people are still buying records, and cassettes, and VHS cassettes, VCRs, and CDs, and DVDs, and Blu-rays. People are still buying all of these things, 8-tracks even. There will always be those of us that prefer physical, whether they go all digital or not. I'll tell you what, won't be buying a PS6, I'll tell you that much. I don't know, man. The business practices of late have just been so shady and anti-consumer that I just can't justify buying one of their consoles, you know. I consider myself to be a console gamer. You know, that's me. I prefer playing on console. This console generation has pushed me into the open and loving arms of the PC Master Race once more. I think they got greedy, consoles. And I think that they lost sight of what made it's funny. They lost sight of what made consoles special. And it's not. They kept trying to make consoles as close, or rather closer and closer to PC. And it's like, don't you understand? Console gamers prefer console for a reason, because of things that make it different from PC. That, for me, is like the tangible aspect of it. I love, just like I'll never read an ebook, I love having a book in my hands, flipping the pages, the feel, the smell. It can't be replaced. Same reason I love turning on a console, putting a disc in, a cartridge in, or whatever, sitting down on the couch, a big ass TV, and with a controller in my hand, enjoying a game. You know, it's not that I don't like playing on PC. I've also been a PC gamer for a long time as well, but this current generation of consoles has pushed me to the point to where I won't buy another console moving forward. But there are plenty of retro games which I love. I can rig up some friggin' how to stream if I so desire. Don't forget that there's more of us than there are of them, and that we can't affect change if our voice is loud enough. So don't black pill, that's what I'm saying. Now, for those of you that, you know, tune in, or at least somewhat familiar with how I like to do things here, I do not get into politics here. I just don't do it. You're not going to see me talking about anything like going on in the world, you know what I mean? I'm basically trying to emulate when we were kids, going over to your buddy's house, doing couch co-op, or just chilling out on the couch, taking turns playing a one-player game when somebody dies, basically. And just hanging out, just that chill atmosphere, just enjoying games and fellowship with friends, you know, for the sake of doing so. I don't, you know, drama and politics and like whatever YouTube feuds and whatnot, that has no place here. The closest to that I ever delve is when there's gaming specific news like that that's relevant to the issues of this channel. So like, well, the physical game aspect that we've been talking about with Sony and all that is a good example. But like inflammatory topics, things like that. I mean, you're not going to see me get into that. Not here. It's funny because it's actually hard for me not to, because I am a very outspoken person offline, IRL. Everybody knows what I think. I'm not shy about saying it. This is just not the time or place for it, and therefore I'm not gonna delve into that. Just having like an escape, a place for everybody to come and unplug, is more important than that. You know, I don't need to speak my mind that badly. You know what I mean? So yeah, just the Sony going digital only is about as close to that stuff as I get. In fact, I think that's really the only thing I've spoken about. I did a video a while back of basically the same subject as it pertains to Nintendo. So I hope that y'all understand that and can respect it. And quite honestly, I mean, if that is something that you're looking for, there's a lot of other channels, you know, that do cover those things. But that's not me. I don't want to get into the negativity. I don't want to get into the drama. I think that it just undermines what I'm trying to do here, you know what I mean? Having a place where we all can just come and unplug is more important to me, I think. And I hope that you guys see that and appreciate what I'm trying to do here.